Another cold morning here in New York State. Let me make that clear. Testing. I got to check out my audio because I'm playing with the audio settings. I'm cleaning it up a little bit. Testing. All right. This is the things that we have to do. With my equalizer. Let's see. I'm messing with the sound. It's off balance. Little tweaking going on as I come on. I'm messing with the mic settings because I hear a lot of people complaining, "Oh, you sound too low. You sound like this." And yes. What's up, writer and gamer? Not much actually going on. We're all waiting. I'm waiting for the meeting in, let me just get the pop-ups, in Washington, D.C. with the president, with Netanyahu, on Wednesday. Typical rhetoric coming out. Now they're saying, oh, we will dilute the 60%. Wait a minute, hold on. But I thought that was gone. I thought the 60% was wiped out, that they couldn't have access to it, enriched uranium. That's not what they're saying today. We will dilute the 60% enriched uranium if all sanctions are removed. Oh, so you still have it. How much do you have? It's like, okay. Did they move it? I think they did. Everybody thinks it's buried under hundreds of feet. I think they moved it. They knew what was coming. You think they're stupid? Do people actually think the Iranians were stupid? They moved it. That's my guess. So, here's what came out overnight. In today's closed session of the parliament, attended by the the foreign minister, I'm thinking of Netanyahu, and Major General Mousavi, it was approved that in the upcoming negotiations, here we go again, 0% enrichment will not be accepted under any circumstances, and the location of the negotiations will also be determined by Iran. Like they hold the cards. Yeah, they definitely, Smokey, they moved it. People are so naive, and you must be really naive if they knew that they were going to get hit, that they left it there. There was trucks seen days before at the location, and they looked like they were moving something out of that location. That's fact. That was picked up on satellite imagery. Now, people were saying, oh, they were there to bury the entrance. Bullshit. Bullshit. They were there to remove anything vital that they needed to get out of there. Again, that's my opinion. I think it's a really good conclusion. And what did I say last week when I was reading the IAEA report about undisclosed locations that the atomic energy didn't have access to? And all of a sudden the president says, oh, we found out about a new location that they were trying to hide in. Oh, really? I mean, when you see what comes out in the public, it's like, come on. Really? Really? Like we didn't know? Or better yet, the Mossad didn't know? Because they have great intelligence. Really. Good morning, John, and Smokey, and Petros, and Dusty. As I'm freezing here, as I just waking up. Not really just waking up, but just getting ready. There's so much bullshit. I saw the saddest video, and I'm not going to post it, of a young man, 18, that was killed. He was playing his guitar, and it is heartbreaking. The videos that come out of Iran, a lot of young people. The funeral for a 15-year-old girl that was killed during the uprising. Fuck protests. It is really horrible. 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 It's so sad. And there's stuff coming out on the phone like always. I'll read a little. What's up, Cluster? I'm sure Tusi will be going live soon. We have a heat wave today. The high is going to be 28 degrees Fahrenheit. We haven't hit 32 freezing in like a month. Can't take it anymore. So, this is coming from an Israeli reporter. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Unfortunately, President Trump will not topple the Ayatollah regime. Prime Minister Netanyahu's urgent visit on Wednesday, moved up a full week from the original schedule, reflects Israel's growing understanding that the regime change is not on the table. Oh, I hope that's wrong. That leaves only one option, a deal. That Iran's proven ability to deceive every Western power in past agreements, Israel is determined to ensure that its hands will not be tied if and when the moment comes to strike. This could be all part of the plan. The most urgent threat is the ballistic missile program, as the current discussions focus almost exclusively on the nuclear file. Meanwhile, the Islamic Republic is actively dispersing mobile launchers and fortifying its underground missile cities. Iran will have to confront this danger sooner rather than later, preferably sooner. Once again, this is his opinion. Once again, I do not foresee regime change. What I do foresee is a limited operation targeting Iran's ballistic missile infrastructure, followed by a period which the regime lies low until the United States no longer poses a threat and an opportunity arises to retaliate against Israel. This, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what I've been saying for years. Persia will join a coalition. It will not attack alone. America may not be there for Israel, but God will be, and that is all that matters. And to the brave people of Iran, do not lose hope. Do not put your trust in world leaders. Put your trust in the God of Israel, who, in his time, will bring your evil regime down and grant you the peace and freedom you truly deserve. And then he quotes from Psalm. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord of God. So, this is an opinion by an Israeli reporter, but it definitely gives, like we've been saying, I think Israel is going into D.C., and they're going to make it clear to the president, if you don't act on their missile program, we will. If this is only about nuclear, and this does not include the proxies, this does not include the missile program, etc., we're going to act unilaterally to protect ourselves. So, I keep saying, Wednesday is going to be quite interesting, the meeting between the president and Bibi Netanyahu. And they're freaking out. The other side is freaking out because somebody got taken out in Lebanon. And they weren't too happy about it on the other side because Israel's pounding Hezbollah, the proxy group. They are pounding them. I mean, they are really hitting them hard. And Iran can't be too happy about that right now, being one of their proxies. Oh, shit. This is interesting that came out. More details about the operation to kidnap a senior member of the Jamaah Islamiyah in Lebanon. The operation was carried out by the Special IDF Commando Unit. The operation took place in a Lebanese village 7 kilometers beyond the border with Israel. The operation lasted a few hours, from last night into the evening until early morning. It ended this morning at around 5 a.m. The IDF decided to kidnap the senior terrorist organization member rather than eliminate him from a distance due to the desire to obtain intelligence through his interrogation about the terrorist organization's activities in Lebanon and Syria. The Jamaah Islamiyah is an organization that carried out terrorist attacks against Israel throughout the war, and the IDF identifies that plans for terrorist actions against Israel continue there. And the Speaker of Iran's parliament, this is a few hours ago, the Speaker of Iran's parliament said that Iran's uranium enrichment and missile capabilities must be preserved and are not subject to negotiation. They keep saying that. I mean, they keep repeating that. So, OSINT, 122 cargo flights by the U.S. military to the Middle East region since January 14th until today, of which 75 arrived at the air base in Jordan. Jordan's getting loaded. Loaded. Okay. That's the same post. Let me read what the other side said. Look what the other side said. And then they requoted what we've said yesterday about the 300 ballistic missiles per month that they're producing. But this was this morning, about 2 hours ago. I'm just going to read it. The bastard Jewish army attacked this morning the town Yanua, town targeting Ahmad Salameh, and murdered the father of Ali Jaber and his child in the process. Ahmad is a retired Lebanese army soldier. Ali is the son of the municipality mayor. The Jewish enemy continues to violate all laws and agreements and murder Lebanese civilians. How do you negotiate with any of these fucking people? I keep saying that. How does the president negotiate with them? How does anyone negotiate with this regime is beyond me. Unless it's like we've been saying, it's a stall tactic to give us more time because more assets are moving into the region. There can be no other thing going on here because this is just madness. Madness. This is a few hours ago. The chief of Iran's Atomic Energy Agency said Iran could consider diluting its stockpile of 60% enriched uranium, but only in exchange for a blanket removal of all economic sanctions. Good luck with that. The president's not going to drop the sanctions until they comply and verify that things are getting done. You don't remove sanctions beforehand during an agreement. First of all, that doesn't make no sense. None. Zero. If that even happened. Iran has previously offered this concession, but it was deemed insufficient by the U.S. because the uranium would stay inside Iran and could easily be re-enriched to 60% if Iran would choose to do so. From the Iranian perspective, this would be an acceptable deal. Of course it would be, provided that the U.S. presents Iran with ironclad guarantees, either in the form of legislation passed by Congress or an official treaty with the participation of reliable mediators. I can't take it. I can't take the bullshit anymore. I can't even take the even thought of negotiating with these people. Personally, I can't even take it anymore. The chairman of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Ali Larijani, will travel to Oman tomorrow with a delegation to discuss regional developments. Oh, this is just like making me sick already. Javad Imami, another prominent figure of the radical reformist faction in Iran, was arrested by the IRGC intelligence organization yesterday. Imami was in charge of Mir Hossein Mousavi's 2009 presidential campaign, which initiated the Green Movement protests after being rightfully defeated by Ahmadinejad, whatever his name is. So they're putting out a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of turmoil going on inside the government of Iran. That's what it seems like to me. In a closed-door session, Iran's parliament was briefed by recent talks with the U.S., by the foreign minister, as well as on the national defense situation by Chief of Staff, Mousavi. So that's like, really, basically, it's just the same old rhetoric coming out. the same old bullshit. But I gotta ask all of you. I have to, because it's driving me crazy now. It's getting me to the point where I can't even take it anymore. A simple yes or no will suffice. Do you think that we should be negotiating with Iran? I don't care if it's about one thing, five things. Should we even be negotiating with Iran, period? I say fuck no. I'm tired of it. I'm done. I'm done. Oh, my flag fell. I gotta fix that. I am so done. You cannot negotiate with them. You can't trust them. They say, oh, well, we can't trust you. No, we can't trust you. Look at your record. Oh, it's unanimous already. No. Good morning, Mrs. Soriano. I haven't seen you in a few days. Look at this. Look at this. It's unanimous, pretty much. We're going to get one. Watch. Hell no. But again, this has to be some kind of a stall tactic. Or putting it out there that, because that really is the consensus, even coming from Israelis, that he really wants to negotiate about the nuclear deal. Well, maybe that's what you want. He wants you all to believe. Including the Iranians. The kids kept you hopping? Well, that's good. That's good. As long as you didn't watch that halftime show. I tried to watch a little bit of it. I was like, that is the most, as being Puerto Rican, that is the most disgusting, embarrassing thing I've ever seen. What was that? Sugar cane. Now, there are things in there that reflect Puerto Rico, but what the hell are we highlighting Puerto Rico about? And I'm Puerto Rican. I'm like, this speaks, singing in Spanish. What is this Super Bowl halftime show about? I couldn't make sense of it. And like I said, I'm part Puerto Rican, and I'm like, this is embarrassing. As a Puerto Rican, it was embarrassing. First of all, I don't like that music. I don't even know who he is. He was terrible. In the 30 seconds, I actually watched it for a minute. Then I shut it off. I couldn't. In the 1 minute that I gave it a shot, he can't sing for his life. And this guy's supposed to be big. He was horrific. He can't sing for shit. Oh, no. How do people like this get a following like that when they are, to me, they have no talent? He has no talent. Yeah, he was bad, all right. He was bad. Bad. Embarrassing. I'll tell you, whoever's in charge of putting these halftime shows should be fired today. They should be fired today, never to touch a Super Bowl halftime show again in their lives or get near one. They should be banned for life. And there was a piragua stand. That's a big thing in Puerto Rico. It's shaved ice, and they put this stuff on it to give it flavor. There was a piragua stand. I knew what that was. I knew some of the references to things that are known in Puerto Rico. And boxing is big. I saw the boxers, he goes underneath. That's big in Puerto Rico. Boxing is a big thing, has always been. But I'm like, what kind of embarrassing? And then I skipped because I was like freaking out what I was watching. And then I saw Lady Gaga. And the music that was playing in the background is salsa. I like that music. And she actually didn't do too bad singing along with it. But the whole thing was a joke. It was disgusting. And you could see the crowd wasn't into it. They were like, what is this? What are we listening to? Who in their right mind made this happen? They should be fired. I haven't seen a halftime show in over 10 years, and I'm glad. Because if this is the product they put out there, they should be ashamed of themselves. They should go hide it somewhere. Maybe, I don't want to say it, but maybe a bunker as deep as Khomeini is in. That was brutal. Brutal. But anyway, getting back to the topic. I was here all night. I didn't watch 1 minute of that game. Not even a second of the game did I watch. Nothing. I was here the whole time, right here. But getting back to the topic, and Tusi should be coming on live soon, hopefully. There's really not much going on right now. There really isn't. Because I was scouring this morning before I came on. There really isn't much coming out in relation to this Iran, U.S., Israeli situation, other than the meeting with Netanyahu. I think that's what everything's hinging on right now. Because I'm going to tell you, and he's done it before, and the president has been upset by some of the things that Bibi has done. Israel has to do what they have to do. Regardless if the U.S. isn't going to be there for them or not, they got to look out for themselves. Bottom line. Think about, if nothing is done now, think about Iran a year or 2 years from now. This is a major breaking point. If you don't confront this issue now, you may never, ever, ever have an opportunity like right now again. I'm talking from the Israeli perspective. You got to do something now. Somebody's got to do something now. Now, I still will say it's all part of a ploy, a tactic, delay, delay, delay. As the president said, I'm in no rush. So maybe, like I said, he's waiting for other assets to arrive. They say that all the bases are now fully protected. I read that somewhere when I was doing research. Cuba is another thing that's on the radar for sure. Mike, definitely. Cuba, after Venezuela cutting off the oil supply, money, economy, they're probably ready to collapse within a month. Tops 3, something's going on in Cuba. That's a separate entity. That is definitely something to keep an eye on. I'm just reading your chats quick. But I think that Israel will act unilaterally if they have to. Now, how does Iran respond? Knowing that the United States is right there in the backyard, ready to support Israel, assist Israel. Could that be a trap for Iran? Maybe it's all part of the plan. Like somebody said, I was reading, this is not when Netanyahu visits the White House, it was mentioned on one of the posts, it's not to negotiate what's going on in Iran. It's to talk about operation, moving forward, dealing with Iran. That's 2 different things. What's the planning stages, like the final planning stages of what we're going to do with Iran now. Netanyahu's at the point where he's tired of waiting. He's been waiting for months. And he's probably saying to himself, why did I wait? Look where we're at now. Every month, 300 missiles, thousands of drones. The more we wait, the more time they have. It's both sides. Time for us to get our stuff there, time for Iran to get better prepared. Putting their missiles in mountains and getting strategically located. Getting help from the Chinese or whoever. Israel's like, how much longer are we expected to wait? Because they want to take out their missile program. Badly. So all this delay, yeah, it might work for both sides, but Israel's sitting by and saying, while you two do this, you guys are talking and negotiating, allegedly, that you know that it's not, you can't trust them, and you know that you shouldn't even be trying to negotiate with them, and you're wasting time here. Why? Why are you wasting time? This is what I'm saying. If I'm Netanyahu, I'm going in there ready to go. We need to know. Our national security is at interest here. We live in the region. We have to protect our people. What is going on right now? Because if you don't do anything and you're going to keep buying time, well, we don't have time. Time is not on our side. It may be on your side, but it's not on ours. And we may have to act unilaterally, and we will, to protect the people of Israel. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if I were Netanyahu, that's what I would be saying. You cannot say that with definitively, KJ. We have it covered, just give it time. That's what we all hope will happen. That they're buying time. Which is what I truly believe, and I've always said it since the whole thing began. But it sure is frustrating when you hear about this negotiation. It's only the nuclear part. What? When did that change? But then again, Rubio made it clear that it's not just about nuclear. It is about the missile program. Unless there was mixed signals going on and the proxies and the people of Iran. Like I said, unless I'm confused, Rubio said that last week. Again, I think it's all part of a stall tactic. We'll all soon find out, I guess, however this plays out. I'm trying to find this article that I brought up weeks ago, because this really laid it out, and I said it before anything started going on. I just hope that I have bookmarked, because it's really important, because it really outlines everything that's going on. But I don't know if I think I did bookmark it. Iran's nuclear program. Damn. Maybe not. But it was an analysis. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but it was so on point. And it was an article it was stating about having a carrier group or two. It was a think tank article. And it was so well done. And I was like, wow, they were on the money. From the get-go, they were on the money. And it was impressive. It really was impressive. It really was impressive. But I don't think I saved it. But I had talked about it in the early days of all this going on. And they were right. To have one carrier group, but two is preferable. Two. Not just the one. Two. And this is before the Lincoln was moved to the region. And they were on the money. It's just unfortunate that I can't find the article, because I could have sworn I bookmarked it, because it was that important. I'm still checking one more time. Oh, maybe here. Is this the report? This is the report, I think. Yes, this is it. This is dated. How old? Just listen to this. January 11th. So this is still during the uprising in Iran, when people were getting massacred. So this is before the Lincoln was even moved. I'm going to read a little bit because it's very important. And this is why, when I read this article, this is why I said to myself, this is a stall tactic. This is a military think tank discussing what we should have in place, what we should be doing to prepare for an attack on Iran from a military perspective. And I'm like, this is the money. And they've been right. Carrier strike groups are not merely symbols of American resolve, but integrated combat ecosystems capable of sustained air dominance, precision strike, electronic warfare, and maritime security operations without host nation constraints, making their absence from the U.S. Fifth Fleet's area of responsibility an operational and psychological anomaly. This is before they closed their airspace when something allegedly was going to happen. We knew you can't depend on that. The carrier is like its own floating island. Because you knew that they were going to shut their airspaces down, deny our use of their airspace. For decades, continuous or near continuous carrier presence in the Persian Gulf, Arabian Sea, and Red Sea function as the backbone of U.S. deterrence architecture against Iran, which is true. Enabling rapid escalations control while insulating Washington from the vulnerabilities of fixed regional bases. Fact. This is why I'm convinced that something's still going to go down. And I'm not going to change that until proven otherwise. But I read this before everything started going on. Before the Lincoln was even moved. The current void, remember this is before the Lincoln was there, or moved from South China Seas. The current void introduces severe constraints on response options. Remember, this is coming from a think tank. This ain't no commentary or opinion. I found this searching and I was like, the current void introduces severe constraints on response options, compresses decision-making timelines, and increases reliance on land-based assets that are both politically sensitive and tactically exposed to Iran's expanding missile, drone, and proxy warfare capabilities. This redistribution of naval power, driven by competing global priorities in the Indo-Pacific and Western Hemisphere, illustrates the hard limits of force availability, even for a 293 ship navy with 99 vessels deployed and 87 underway, highlighting a structural strain between strategic ambition and operational reality. And this is, look what it says, because this, you got to remember when this was written. As the protests rage across Iran and U.S. rhetoric sharpens, the absence of carrier strike groups in the Middle East is no longer a routine deployment cycle fluctuation, but a central variable shaping escalation dynamics, deterrence, credibility, and regional stability. The strategic signal transmitted by this carrier gap is being closely scrutinized not only by Tehran, but also by U.S. allies and adversaries alike, many of whom have historically calibrated their own security postures around the assumption of persistent American naval overmatch in the Middle East. In the effect, the absence of carrier strike groups transforms what was once a predictable deterrent equation into a volatile strategic experiment where perception, timing, and misinterpretation now carry disproportionate weight in determining whether crisis escalation can be contained or spirals into a broader regional confrontation. That's what they're fucking talking about. When I read this, it makes me like, because this was before, this is when the protests were at their heightened, when people were getting massacred by the thousands, and they put this article out there stating how important it is not to have a void of the carriers in that region and to get carriers in there right away, kind of. I'll read. The January 5th, 2026 snapshot provided by the USNI News Fleet and Maritime Tracker confirms that none of the U.S. Navy's 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers are operating within the U.S. Fifth Fleet's area of responsibility. A development that marks a decisive break from the post-October 2023, you know what happened then, posture of sustained presence following the Hamas attack on Israel. Why was that void created? Why? What led to a void in the Persian Gulf when there's been a presence always there? That's one. That has to be that question that definitely needs to be brought up. At the center of this redistribution is the Ford, the U.S. Gerald R. Ford, which has been deployed to the Caribbean Sea under Operation Southern Spear, supporting U.S.-led intervention operations in Venezuela following the January 8th, 2026 capture of Nicolas Maduro, thereby diverting the Navy's most advanced carrier away from the Middle East. Regardless if you agree or disagree with Venezuela, that is very important that we use that carrier strike group for that. Many people may say, oh, justified, but it also left a big void in an area where it's a major concern. Simultaneously, the USS Abraham Lincoln, flagship of the Carrier Strike Group 8, is operating in the Indo-Pacific after arriving in Guam on December 12, 2025, and subsequently patrolling the Philippine Sea and South China Sea to counter expanding Chinese naval assertiveness. You keep an eye on Taiwan. Keep an eye on Taiwan, I'm telling you. Other carriers, including the George Washington, remains tied to forward deployment commitments in Japan. That's true, it's there. While aging platforms such as the USS Nimitz have returned to the United States for maintenance or decommissioning preparation, collectively constraining surge capacity. This redistribution leaves the Persian Gulf, Red Sea, and Arabian Sea without organic carrier-based air power, a condition not seen in over 2 years, and one that sharply contrasts with the rotational deployments of the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower and the USS Carl Vinson throughout 2023 to 2025. Because they were there. Remember the Houthi thing? Yemen? They were there. Then they weren't. From a force planning perspective, the absence reflects a strategic prioritization of near-peer competition and hemispheric contingencies over Middle Eastern crisis response, even as the region remains uniquely prone to rapid escalation. A naval expert quoted on January 5th analysis observed that the U.S. Navy will continue to support its ongoing operations in the Caribbean, while trying to maintain a presence in both the Indo-Pacific and potentially the Middle East, but resources are stretched thin. This carrier gap is therefore not accidental, but the consequence of deliberate choices made under finite capacity, choices that now intersect dangerously with Iran's internal destabilization. This strategic redistribution also exposes a growing imbalance between declared U.S. global commitments and the finite availability of high-end naval assets, reinforcing perceptions that carrier presence is increasingly zero-sum rather than additive across theaters. As a result, the Fifth Fleet's carrier vacuum risks normalizing a reduced U.S. naval footprint in the Middle East, potentially encouraging adversaries to test red lines, while allies recalibrate their security expectations around a less predictable American maritime deterrence posture. The absence of carrier strike groups, not one, two. The absence, Alexa, stop. The absence of carrier strike groups in the Middle East fundamentally reshapes the operational geometry of any potential U.S. military action against Iran, particularly as President Trump signals readiness to intervene should Tehran escalate its crackdown on protesters. Alexa, stop. Carrier strike groups function as mobile sovereign air bases, deploying, and it lists all the planes, suppressing enemy air defenses and sustaining high-tempo operations without dependence on regional base agreements. We know that. Without carriers in theater, Washington must rely on land-based platforms such as the B-1B Lancers operating from Diego Garcia or F-22 Raptors stationed in the airbase in Qatar assets that lack the same persistence, flexibility, and survivability under missile threat. True. Repositioning a carrier is not an instantaneous solution, as the Lincoln would require several days to a week to transit from the South China Sea across the Indian Ocean at sustained speeds of approaching 30 knots, a movement that would be immediately visible to open source intelligence observers. We know that because it happened. Excuse me. Such visibility would effectively telegraph U.S. intent, granting Iran valuable time to disperse assets, which they have, activated and integrated air defense systems, and posture its missile and proxy forces, thereby degrading the element of strategic surprise. A defense analyst warned that it is extremely unlikely and incredibly risky to launch a strike against Iran without a carrier or two in the region, emphasizing the exposure of non-carrier options to Iran's layered anti-access area denial architecture. While the U.S. maintains approximately 40,000 troops across 19 regional bases, including the Burke-class destroyers capable of launching Tomahawk cruise missiles, these forces are inherently more vulnerable to saturation attacks than a maneuvering carrier strike group. The logistical burden of sustaining operations against a heavily defended state like Iran without carriers therefore magnifies escalation risks and operational costs, narrowing Washington's credible military options. Do you see why it's important? This was weeks before all this shit has been going on. Before the Lincoln was even moved, they're telling you why this needs to happen. You need to fill that void. You need to get the carriers in there. Compounding these challenges is the political sensitivity surrounding how nation permissions for use of regional air bases and any overt participation by Gulf partners could expose them to immediate Iranian retaliation and domestic instability, further constraining U.S. freedom of action. Duh, we've seen that. This is on the money. They've been on the money on this analysis. Taken together, the absence of carrier-based aviation forces forces Washington to a posture where military options against Iran become not only tactically riskier, but strategically brittle, increasing the likelihood that limited strikes could escalate into a wider, less controllable conflict across multiple operational domains. And it gets into Iran, the background of what happened from December 28th till when this was written. Yeah, it's getting into all that, the arrests. Now they're doing the background of what was going on in Iran, the oil workers, strikes by oil workers. They're getting into all that. The unrest has expanded in strategic sectors, including strikes by oil workers, defections among lower-ranking military personnel, directly threatening the regime cohesion and economic survival. In this context, any U.S. military action would be interpreted in Tehran not as limited coercion, but as an existential threat, which is what they've been saying. This is before all this started, like the rhetoric. They were on the money. A U.S. intelligence source warned on January 10th briefing that the Iranian response to strikes carried out during these protests would be anything but measured, highlighting the danger of escalation beyond previous precedents. Iran retains an arsenal of more than 3,000 ballistic missiles, a growing inventory of armed drones such as the Shahad 136, and naval capabilities capable of mining the Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of global oil flows. Proxy forces including Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Iraqi militias could also be activated simultaneously, targeting U.S. bases, shipping, and energy infrastructure across the region. A Pentagon assessment cautioned that Iran would likely retaliate with drone and missile attacks against dozens of U.S. military bases and other sites across the Middle East, something which the current U.S. military presence in the region would be unable to fully defend itself. Why do you think all the assets are moving in? Underscoring the vulnerability created by the carrier absence. Beyond the immediate military calculus, the absence of U.S. carrier strike groups, not one, remember, not one, groups, plural, in the Middle East carries far-reaching geostrategic and economic implications that extend well beyond the region. Any disruption to the Strait of Hormuz, whether through Iranian mining operations or missile threats, could trigger a 20 to 30% spike in global oil prices, destabilizing energy markets and fueling inflation worldwide. For Southeast Asian economies such as Malaysia and Indonesia, which rely heavily on Middle Eastern energy supplies, such disruptions would translate into higher import costs, currency pressure, and downstream economic stress. From a financial perspective, even a modest $20 per barrel increase could impose billions in additional annual energy costs, equivalent to approximately US $20 billion across major Asian importers. Regionally, navies across Asia would likely increase maritime patrols and readiness levels, while energy importing states would accelerate diversification strategies and stockpiling measures. Geopolitically, the carrier vacuum creates space for Russia and China to deepen their strategic alignment with Iran. We've seen that. Remember, this is written first week of January, or it's early in the second week. On the money. Through intelligence sharing, arm transfers, and stockpiling measures. Right on. This is telling you before everything happened what is going to happen, like they're predicting. You need to have this for this reasons. This is on the money. And I read this days before shit started to hit the fan. Before the Lincoln was even moved. And it goes on and on. In the Indo-Pacific, where the U.S. Navy's focus increasingly concentrated, allies may quietly question Washington's ability to sustain simultaneous deterrence across multiple theaters. The Middle East's quieter skies therefore may mask a broader erosion of perceived U.S. omnipresence with ripple effects that extend into Asia-Pacific security calculations. The absence of the carrier strike groups in the Middle East ultimately reflects a broader strategic realignment, prioritizing the Indo-Pacific and Western Hemisphere over sustained Middle East presence. Operation Southern Spear, involving between 15,000 and 20,000 U.S. troops and the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, has extended deployments beyond traditional 7-month cycles, placing additional strain on naval readiness and maintenance schedules. In parallel, the USS Abraham Lincoln's Indo-Pacific deployment supports deterrence against China's gray zone tactics in the South China Sea, aligning with the AUKUS and broader U.S. alliance commitments. Looking ahead, potential redeployment remains constrained, with carriers such as the Roosevelt unlikely to reach the Middle East before mid-2026 at the earliest. Meanwhile, Iran's internal crisis shows no sign of abating as opposition figures call for sustained international attention and support. And it goes on and on. In strategic terms, the carrier absence tempers immediate military escalation while simultaneously eroding long-standing deterrence norms that relied on visible naval powers. As the U.S. Navy continues its global balancing act, the Middle East stands as a case study in the limits of maritime dominance in an era of simultaneous crisis. This was on the money. That's why I say all the time, after reading that weeks ago, we're not ready. We're stalling. The president is stalling. In my opinion, the president is stalling for time. It said it very clearly about the vulnerability of our bases and our allies, and not depending on our bases in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, etc., because they could say, oh, you can't use our airspace. And not just to have one strike carrier group. It says groups, meaning two or more. Not one. Everybody says, oh, one could be enough. No. In the scenario like they outlined, two, like it was before. At least two. Now, I am not here sitting and speculating what carrier group is on the way, what may be there already. Is the Bush there? Is the Nimitz on the way? Are they moving that carrier strike group, which is a waste of time, off of Venezuela? For what reason? I don't know anymore. Because it shouldn't be there. Unless you're planning to hit Mexico or Colombia, or maybe use it as an asset for Cuba. I don't know. because it's right there in the Caribbean. I mean, it's in proximity to Cuba. I don't know. But right now, I worry more about what the hell's going to happen to in Iran if we do go into action, and protecting our people and having all the assets more than fucking Venezuela at this point. That's insane. If you're not going to do anything with that carrier group, you just don't keep it there. You put it in a place where it's needed. And Venezuela is not the place right now. In my opinion, not the place. And you're threatened by Cuba? Well, the United States is right there. They have plenty of forces they can deploy from the States or Puerto Rico. So that doesn't even make sense. Cuba's a little island compared to Iran and the threat of Iran. To our allies, to Israel, everything else. I mean, strategically, who is doing the planning here? It doesn't make strategic sense. And now you got to rush to get the carriers over there because of whoever's doing the thinking here. Do you understand? It gets me really frustrated when I start thinking of it in those terms. And we have 11 carriers, but a few of them are undergoing maintenance right now. And I don't know about the Nimitz. Is it getting decommissioned? Is it back out at sea? Who knows? But these are major strategic concerns. And not to have a presence after the 12-day war and the rhetoric, you don't have a carrier in the Middle East after all of that? And you pull it out? If that's the case, why is there still one over near Venezuela? You pulled the carriers out of the region in the Middle East after the 12-day, and you know tensions are crazy there? And Venezuela? I mean, is it still there? One of our flagship advanced carriers is in Venezuela? Why? I understand for the operation, but that was like a month ago. Does this make any sense to anyone? Does it? Really? And fuck negotiating with terrorists. This got me really burned. I'm pissed. I'm not happy. How are you even thinking about negotiating with them unless it is a stall tactic? And to say we tried. Iran is saying, we're going to be the ones that decide where the next meeting is going to be held. They're talking a lot. You don't hear too much talking from our side. Let them do all the talking. Oh my God. Yeah, we don't want to know where the carrier strike groups are. That is national security. We should not know. We should not know. That makes them vulnerable, but I'm sure the Chinese know and the Russians know and a lot of other people know where they are. Through their intelligence. The eyes in the sky. They probably know. Transponders on or off don't matter. They have the intelligence to know where they are. It makes me like cringe. Let's see. Stealth strikes work better. One wasn't. It's still showing to be stateside. Actually in Mediterranean. The meeting is important. The Netanyahu President Trump meeting on Wednesday is super important. It is really important because Israel's going to leave that meeting knowing what they need to do next. They're going to make it clear to the president. They are definitely going to make it clear to the president. And the president may not like what Netanyahu has to say, but he's going to hear it. America will never make concessions to terrorists. To do so would only invite more terrorism. Nor will we ask nor pressure any government to do so. Reagan. Great quote from Reagan. And if you notice when the president is sitting in the Oval Office, whose picture's on the wall to his left? Right there. Reagan. President Reagan. Right there. Watch it next time. You'll see it. It's right to his left on the wall in the corner. A big painting of President Reagan. I'm reading all your things. And let me know if Tusi's going live, because this is around the time I could eat my breakfast and go watch Tusi. Because 1 week earlier is a very big sign. Does it mean that he would be in the States to keep him safe? No way. No way. I thought about that yesterday. We brought that up. No way. He's not going to do that. He's going to be there and then possibly fly out locally somewhere, because he has that plane to take him out of Tel Aviv. No, he will not be here in the States if something's going down, unless Iran decides to make a first move. No way. Oreo, have a great day. You're going to go play video games or something? Video what? Because Bibi isn't happy with Witkoff and the deal making, so he decided to step to D.C. an earlier week. Yeah, it was pushed up a week. Is my sense to this matter. Chaos, you're right. Netanyahu didn't want to push this. He doesn't want to keep prolonging this. He doesn't want this to get stretched out for weeks or months. We're going to have negotiations for negotiations, and when we're going to have no actual negotiations. He sees the delay tactic. He's not new to this. He knows. He knows. Oh my gosh. Petros, I'll watch that, but I can't, right now because I'm on YouTube, so I'll get hit if I play that video. Uncle Tank, good morning. It's like a huge magic trick. Watch this hand and get the other one. Yes, that's what I believe. That's why I read that article. We're not ready. People might think we're ready. Yeah, we might be ready, moving a lot of the assets into the region to protect the bases, to protect the other countries that want protection, even though they're cowards to me. Oh, we're going to protect them, but we can't use their airspace. Who's footing that bill? Who the fuck? They better be paying. This better not be a taxpayer thing. I'm going to tell you that right now. If they want all this protection, they better be paying the United States for that protection. Excuse me. And I truly believe that. I truly believe this is all part of the plan. It's a delayed tactic. And people are starting to really buy into this negotiation stuff. It's like really picked up a lot of traction. A lot of people are buying into that this is being legitimate. And that's exactly probably what the president wants. He wants everybody to be sold on this happening. And that's part of it. I believe that. Meanwhile, he's moving more assets into the region, including probably another strike carrier group. That's why when I read that article, ever since I read that article a few weeks ago, I am convinced that we weren't ready. No matter what happened, I was convinced we're not ready. Just reading from that article, we were not ready. And everything in that article turned out to be true. It was like on the money. And that's why, after reading that, I said to myself, this is all part of it. We have to get everything in place. Because we're not ready. We're not. We're still not. We have to get all these assets into the region, including strike carrier groups, not one. That's singular, plural, groups, not just one. You gotta have one at least in the Med. I wouldn't put it in the Red Sea near the Houthis because you never know. I would put it in the Mediterranean, off of Israel, somewhere over there. Have that strike group there. You got this one down here, where it comes like this. You attack them. Plus all the assets, the subs, the destroyers, cruise missiles flying, B-fucking-2s, everything. And the defensive countermeasures, the THAADs, the Patriots, etc. You got to have all that. That takes time. Even Venezuela on that scale took months. People expect this to happen so fast. No, it doesn't happen that fast. And that's why. And remember, the objective of the president, priority, protecting the U.S. men and women, the service men and women of this country, to protect them. That is his obligation as commander-in-chief. That is his priority, above all. To issue a strike, he has to make sure we protect our people. They could have prepared and everything without all that. What? They could have prepared and everything without all of that. Keep fighting. We'll be there to help you. They shouldn't have told him to get that back out of town. I'm trying to. Okay, I would say this. You can't make statements ahead of preparation. Timing is essential. So I kind of get maybe what you're saying. If you're not ready from a strategic, kinetic, military, cyber, whatever it is, you should refrain from saying anything until you know you're ready. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get from your comment in there. Timing is important. You don't get ahead of it. You don't make statements ahead of it. You have to be ready to make that statement when you know you're ready. If that's what I'm getting from your comment. Let's see. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody putting in risk from our allies, but sometimes you need to risk something to win big, yeah? But what is that called? A gamble. It's a gamble. And you're gambling with lives. Civilian lives, military lives, many lives. There's a lot at stake here. You know what I mean? A lot is at stake. And you have to be ready. The military is going to want the highest possible confidence level of success. And if they say, if CENTCOM, if the Admiral, whoever says, we're not ready, Mr. President, they're not ready. Mr. President, if you want an assessment given by us that there's a high success possibility in this scenario, we need to have this in place, that in place, and to protect our troops and our allies in the region. I mean, there's a lot at stake. A lot. Oh, I've seen the rivet joints quite a bit, actually. Quite a bit. They've been in the area. There's a lot in the area. I've seen those for weeks, believe it or not, especially in the UK. I don't know where you've seen it, Malcolm, but they've been around. There's a lot going on. There's still assets coming in. We saw it last night. There was like so many C-17s still coming in. There was 2 super galaxies leaving the United States heading across the sea. And there's some going back. It's constant. They just keep on keeping on. I really think that carrier is the key. I think the carrier is the key. The other carrier. Not just the Lincoln. I've been saying it. I think that is essential to have. And I'll tell you, to be honest, it may be 2. I wouldn't be surprised there's a 3rd. I'll take 2. I'm not going to sit here and, go cray-cray. At least 2. In a perfect world, and I don't know what the situation is of the maintenance of the other carriers, because I know there's a few undergoing maintenance. But yeah, let's take a look at the map. Let's see what's going on. Let me know if Tusi's going live, anyone, please. Okay, let me keep reading your comments before I do this. And good morning to everybody that is watching, by the way, or good afternoon, whatever time it is. Oh yeah, that's another thing to consider too. What is the threat here in the homeland? Oh, that is something to definitely consider too. Former Navy here. First rule of the Navy, pay attention to detail. No stone unturned. Excellent point. Excellent point. And thank you for your service, all of you that are in chat right now, and your families, friends, neighbors, because that's a support group, and they pretty much go through the same stress and anguish. You know, they love you, and they go through a lot too. People, I don't know if people realize that it's not just the servicemen and women that serve in our military, it's also their families and their loved ones. um I'm gonna keep reading. But still, he canceled the strike weeks ago without this big bill, though. So he was willing to strike without so many assets in place. Sorry, but he knew weeks ago what can happen. Now, based on all the different speculation out there, was it the Arab states that pressured him to negotiate more before doing the strike, or Israel said they weren't ready, or all this speculation you heard of the reasoning behind it? Who knows? In a way, I'm glad, because like I said, you got to worry about the counterstrike, the retaliation from Iran. And probably they were like, whoa, 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 don't do anything. We're not ready. If they start attacking us in our countries, aiming at your bases, who knows? That's speculation. Well, I mean, but I get it. Chaos, I get it. Am I thinking I'm the only one thinking the U.S. will put boots on the ground like Venezuela? It's possible. Do you think they would do an operation knowing where the Ayatollah is and try to extract him? Are they going to land at nuclear facilities and take over the nuclear facilities? What exactly is the operation? You're not going to land in IRGC. You're going to wipe them out. So what would boots on the ground necessarily mean? What kind of operation? That's... 2C has nothing advertised. Okay. No threat in the homeland? Well, KJ, that's wishful thinking. Very wishful thinking. There are sleeper cells, and they've been here for decades. And who knows now what the way the border was. You cannot say there's no threat in the homeland. Absolutely not. You cannot say that. There is definitely a threat in the homeland. And believe me, we're watching and paying attention to that here. There's a lot that goes on that we, the public, are not aware of. The threats that happen every fucking day in this country. And if we knew about it, we'd be panicking. Somebody says they believe there will be boots on the ground. Sorry if I sound mean or pissed. That's not the case. No. I get chaos. You still haven't gone to sleep. Go to bed. What are you still doing? Okay, hold on. Let me see. I'm missing the scrolling because you guys... I follow a couple of YouTube that live in Gibraltar. They report shipping movements. Not seen any major U.S. military ships going into the Mediterranean. That's interesting. Well, not yet. Cluster, keep an eye on that. Well, maybe not. I don't necessarily want to say anything like that. Ms. Soriano, man, I've dealt with the worst of the worst on my deployment, and I've seen firsthand what came over the border. I'm not talking about onesies, twosies. I'm talking high targets, and we have a lot of them there. If they were not boots on the ground, don't focus on the boots on the ground too much right now. We got to watch out for the kinetic strikes, I think. Maybe afterwards. I don't think during. I don't know. That's for the military to decide what they're going to do, obviously. All of us can be armchair quarterbacks and try to figure out what they would do. Including myself. I'm not going to do that, though. 50% of our cargo planes are now in the Middle East. Yeah, I'm going to put the map on in a second. It's non-stop. A sleeper cell does not pose a serious threat. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? That is very naive, KJ. I live near New York City. A sleeper cell can cause a lot of damage. and kill a lot of people. In a populated area like New York City, a fucking sleeper cell is definitely a threat. It's happened in the past, and thank God a lot of them were interrupted on their plans to cause mass casualties. Me living in New York City, I know this. Unfortunately, I don't live in New York City. I lived at the time. Are you kidding? They don't pose a serious threat? Yeah, they do. Oh, they do. There is a big threat in the UK. Of course, that's why their policy is the way they are, because they know of the threat. And France, too. Look in the past. Just look at the past. That's why they're... I don't want to get into words. I'll let Tusi talk about that. The boots on the ground in Venezuela, that extraction. Remember, that was Caracas. That was located in one area, even though there was other things going on in other areas. You're talking about Tehran. You're talking about Iran now. This is not Venezuela. Do not compare Venezuela with Iran at all. It's going to be a lot fucking harder. Let me see. Yeah, you can't compare. You can't compare Venezuela with Iran. My God. Yeah, Chaos, go to bed. What are you doing still awake, dude? Oh, he's got to go to work soon. Yeah, they're actually putting a lot of their assets in the mountainous regions where it's harder to target them. If you're talking about Iran and the launchers, the missiles. I'm trying to find out what carrier groups are in the Pacific or near East Asia. They may have moved or not noticed. They're transponders. The only way you're going to get real is intelligence that the governments get. Or somebody leaks it out. The positioning of the carriers, which would be not a good thing. Boots on the ground need a good enough, big and stable beachhead with a good buffer zone in front before full-scale boots. The IRG sleeper cells have been prepared for years. I just missed it. In the West. So don't make a comment like that, like no threat. Yes. Like I said, do you know how many times Times Square or other places in New York City alone, they defused bombs, car bombs, and oh, hell no. Former Navy here. If mine sweepers are present, look for Marine landing around Bandar Abbas Navy port. We've got to take out their assets in the Persian Gulf. We have to take out their fast boats and that drone carrier, whatever other threat that it poses. We have to take that out immediately if shit hits the fan. That's priority to protect. Because remember, the Persian Gulf, right across, you've got Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain. You know, they're in close proximity. There's not much time there, regardless of what they use. And the mining is a definite. They could even sink ships in the Strait of Hormuz to block it. It's going to take time to remove that. Anything is possible. You have to watch for all signs. You can't compare with Iran with Iraq either. Oh, no, you can't. You can't. Too much going on. Let's see. Operational. Putting all your units around for defense and offense. Secret Service giving you the location of bunkers. I don't know about Secret Service, but intelligence giving you the locations of bunkers and big heads. And military bases, air defenses, of course. The intelligence gathering is important. It's crucial. How about we put about... Oh my gosh, Blue Flash. And what's good morning, Candace and Jude. Me personally, I don't take a few as a serious threat unless you're getting into high double digits to low and triple. Okay. I think we will be able to use the airspace in the UAE and Saudi. We'll see. We got the numbers and you got the hardware. Deal. Bill, do you think there will be soldiers' casualties? I hope not. This is the unknown once you take action. I've said that many times. There's no going back. Once the operation begins, there's a lot of unknowns, the consequences for any side. And I'm sure there are assessments of the risks involved, and that's why they want it as low risk as possible. That's why when that person put in that chat just now, former Navy, they want to make sure every stone is unturned. And he's there now. And that's K10. Yeah, I'm going to look at the map in a second. And Chaos, really? I know you got to go to work, but after you get home from work, you need to rest, bro. You're going to burn yourself out. You got to get rest. Yeah, Tammy, with your husband, without getting into too many details, what he's telling you. By the way, most of us, about 80%, are Hindus here. And we love Jews and Christians. I wrote a song last night about, and I played it like 1,000 times, about Iran and Israel and the relationships moving forward if and when the regime falls. And I was at work and came home before I got into this chat. Oh, you home. You were already at work. Get some rest. Do you guys have... That's a good one, Mrs. Soriano. Maybe a good herbal tea to relax you, dude, to get some sleep. A nice herbal tea to relax you. It's hard to relax these times. Right, it's not easy. Especially if you're Iranian or Israeli or people that live in the region. I'm telling you, Jordan, would Iran target Jordan knowing all the assets we have there? You know they will. It's right there. That's like the first line, really, before Israel. So you know they got to have a lot of defense there. The UK is there. There's other allies there. That they're more for defensive measures. They're not there for really offense. They're there to support. But boy, oh boy, like I said 1,000 times, Jordan, what an ally. What an ally. I mean, my gosh. Tea is great. Well, make yourself a cup. I'm a veteran who lived on the border and dealt with top-tier HVDs when I was deployed. Tammy is right. We are all telling you, you're looking at this from the tunnel vision. But again, KJ has his opinion. But, we have a lot of veterans in the chat and veteran spouses in the chat. And, they know what's going on. These are people with first-hand experience. I respect their opinions immensely because of their prior experience. Rather than a person like me who has no experience, I learn a lot from them or my friend Commander. From people who've actually been firsthand in the armed forces. To me, that holds a lot of weight to me. Just my opinion. Again, just my opinion. Everybody has their opinion. Um, yeah, I hear you. No, Mo, we're not banning no one for speaking their mind and their opinion. No, no. Mo wants to stir trouble. You should be happy your Seahawks won last night on a horrific game that it was. Um, Mr. Skywatch, can you please show some pictures or something from north of Iran and the mountains around Tehran? Also, to show the terrain. First, let me look at the map. Let's see what's going on. Russia is flying a plane in the Med. Or, where is this going? Not available. Where are you going? Interesting. I want to keep an eye on that. Who's leaving? I want to see if those C5s got over. They were traveling last night. Saudi has a drone out there. That's a Saudi drone. Saudi Arabia is a little busy right now. Hercules. They always do this training. I haven't seen the Iranian drone in a few days. I mean, I could change the filter on here instead of going somewhere else. Let's put satellite. About the terrain. And I believe Bandar Abbas is somewhere in here. Somebody can help me. I know it's around here somewhere. I could look it up. But I know it's off the Persian Gulf. It's a port right in here somewhere. I don't know why I'm not getting labels. I changed the terrain. And to the north, it's mountainous. North of Tehran, it's mountainous. I mean, I can go to Google Earth, but you get an idea. It's mountainous. North of Tehran. By the Caspian Sea. So it's all mountains. And this is where they're definitely putting a lot of missiles within the mountain range, making it harder to target and hide them. I want to check. Where are they? They could have landed already. Nothing going on in Spain. I think, oh, what's that? That's small. Another C-17, but where did the C-5s? They might have, I mean, that was overnight. Team 35. What the hell is that? A Pegasus tanker. They, like I said, they keep moving assets into the region. And I'm thinking it might have landed in the UK. So I'm not seeing the C5s. 2 of them left last night. 2. and we're heading over the Atlantic. But they could be, transponders could be off, or they landed. Who knows? Because that was last night. Another C-17 looks like it's heading back. Yep. That's probably heading back. What is this? That's a tanker. That came from the region. Look at that. What was that refueling? It looks like that was doing something. Wonder what that's all about. Looks like it was doing something. Just little interesting things to look at. Here's another tanker. They're definitely getting more assets in the region. They just are. NATO. That's the C-17. Here comes that Russian plane. I'm really curious to see where that's going. Let's look at air traffic. Why did the filter change? Still a lot of planes flying over the Persian Gulf. Not too much air traffic over eastern Iraq. There's still a couple of planes coming up. There's still planes coming down. Not thinking that anything's going to happen, but got to keep an eye. Anyway, getting back to what you guys are saying in chat. No Tusi yet? I'm surprised. Here, a really group follow on Facebook, Italian radar. They report aircraft. I'm going to go to that right now. Whoever put that in chat, because I'm trying to catch up. I'm going to put this over here. You can't see the screen. I'm going to follow. The Italians have been involved. Logistically, they have been. I thank you for that. I just saved it. I followed on Facebook. Okay. It's just across from Dubai. I'm trying to catch up to what you guys are writing. Yeah, the alert, the red alert, Israel. Thank God it hasn't gotten off yet. Okay. I'm just trying to catch up with you guys. You guys are talking about food and I didn't even have breakfast yet. You guys are too much with the food. I watched Air Force 2 land in Armenia this morning. That's interesting. I didn't know about that one. Because J.D. Vance was at the Olympics in Italy. Maybe he made a stop there. Yeah. Gnarly news. Yep. It's a matter of time. I am going to say it and say it. We're waiting for the second carrier group to get into the place. Oh, don't tell me to eat something when you need to go rest. Tankers working? Yes. Do they normally go to the UK and then fly to the Middle East after? Yes. Germany, Ramstein. You'll see a lot, even Ireland, not Ireland, Scotland. You'll see flights coming out of. You'll see flights coming from all over Europe into the Middle East theater. I mean, this has been incredible to watch how much assets they're moving into the region. It really has been. So let's not get it twisted here. There's a lot going on and still going on right now. And I mean, even if you go based on what is being said, whether it's the White House spokesperson, State Department, the President, Secretary of State Rubio, to have all options available to the President. Well, that option is also military, and they want to make sure they have that option ready for the President if he decides to use that as an option. Even if you go on that premise, that general premise that if the President decides, I don't even think it's a if, it's a when, that everything is in place. It makes total sense. Spain, there's been a lot of Pegasus tankers in Spain. I've seen a lot of Pegasus. They had the word gold on them. There was like 6 of them, last I seen, following them. Those are the more modern versions of the tankers, the 46s. Do you think most of these are anti-air missiles? Oh, definitely. THAADs, Patriots. I read a post earlier today, and I don't know where I read it, but that they think that all the missiles have been deployed now. People are telling me to turn my mic up. Okay, I'll turn the mic up. I got a message from a friend that's watching. He said, turn the mic up. Okay. I'm seeing if there's anything new coming through. Yeah, an advisor to Iran's supreme leader is set to visit Oman on Tuesday with senior delegation. He's expected to meet with Omani officials to discuss regional developments and bilateral cooperation. Oh, God. No date of location has been announced for the next round of talks between the U.S. and Iran. And they're repeating the same post. And other than that, nothing. Let's see. What's up, Nina? Mr. Skywatcher. Just say Bill is fine. You don't have to say Mr. Skywatcher. Bill. Bill works. You know what? I was playing with my audio today with the mic because I'm trying to reduce the sound of the background sound, but it's going to get louder now. Now it's going to get louder, but maybe too loud. I was tweaking my system. I guess I didn't do too good on the tweaking. Because there's many areas where I can control the microphone volume on the board, on here, up there, on the computer itself. So there's a lot of areas I can mess with the audio. Let's see if anything is going on. Let's see what the other side is saying. Yeah. This was out before I read it. Iran says it is prepared to scale back. Wait a minute. How much enriched uranium at 60% does Iran have? That is the question. Because based on this statement, Iran said it's prepared to scale back its stockpile of 60% enriched uranium in exchange for complete lifting of sanctions by the United States. That's never going to happen. Never. All sanctions lifted? Good luck. Keep dreaming. I don't know if this is true. China orders banks to dump U.S. treasuries and halt new purchases. The U.S. could now face higher borrowing costs and see its national debt increasing further. And that's old. That was last night. About them doing the NOTAM. So they're not putting too much. Let's see if the Supreme... I don't even want to say if it's Supreme. I don't even want to give him a title. Let's see if he's posting anything. I gotta put wood in the fire. The enemy must be driven to despair. This is what he posted 4 hours ago. The enemy's despair comes through unity, strength, and of thought and determination and steadfastness in confronting the enemy's temptations. These are what build national power. This is coming from Khomeini, the enemy. And we're working with them. We're negotiating with these people. National power is tied more to the determination of nations and the steadfastness of people than to missiles and aircrafts. He's posting a lot today. By taking part in street marches on the victory anniversary of the Islamic Revolution, the Iranian nation compels those who covet the Islamic Iran, the Islamic Republic, and the interests of this nation to retreat. The 22nd of Bahman rallies commemorating victory anniversary of Islamic Revolution are unparalleled in the world. We do not know of any nation that commemorates its Independence Day or National Day in this manner each year after the passage of so many years and with such massive crowds. Well, you've never been here for the 4th of July, have you? Really? Delusional. On the 22nd, this again the anniversary, February 11th, 1979, the Iranian nation, which isn't even today, it's Wednesday, the Iranian nation achieved a great victory. The Iranian nation or the Islamic regime? It succeeded in rescuing itself and its country from foreign interference. Now, many will say that it was, France, United States, outside external forces. That's another discussion. He delivered a televised message to the Iranian nation. Imam Khomeini. Is that the grandson of the original? He's been posting a lot today. Ranting. Okay, let's see. And that comes from an outlet. Okay, I'm just going to put this on the screen quick. This is the new commander of the IRGC. Guess what he uses his technique in weapon control and fire for? Can only imagine. So that is the new commander, allegedly, of the IRGC. There really isn't too much information coming out. I think everybody's waiting to see what happens in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday with Netanyahu and President Trump. And they keep saying it. Zero enrichment will not be accepted under any circumstances. And the location of the negotiations will also be determined by Iran. Like they hold the fucking cards. Oh my God. Some of the images of coming out of the people who were slaughtered, massacred is nothing I'm gonna show. Oh my God. Even children, they're showing. It is gut-wrenching. And I can't, this is coming from, I guess, India. And it says, Iran rejects Trump's offer, no compromise on nuclear bomb. America and Israel have finalized plans for attack. All rhetoric. It's coming from an Indian news outlet. Jesus Christ. That was just a few minutes ago. Literally. 7 minutes ago. I'll put it on the screen. If you ever watched on YouTube the Indian news, it is so full of propaganda and rhetoric. It's like clickbait on steroids. I'm not kidding. It is so bad. It is pathetic. Pathetic. You guys, if you watch YouTube, you know the channels. You see it all the time. It is pathetic. See? This is just an example I wanted to just put up on the screen on the stuff that's out there. What was the rest of it that said it's time for a can of ass whooping? I don't remember what wrestler that was. It's time for a can of ass whooping. Really. A new poster in Iran. Oh shit. I don't know if this is AI generated, if it's real. A new poster in Tehran, this is claiming. I don't know if this is real. Oh my God. Threatening Israel. I don't know. I'll show it. I cannot confirm this to be true. So it's a big poster in Tehran. You start, we finish it. And it's got the fire button toward Israel. This is the kind of bullshit that's out there. The rhetoric is insane. Good morning, Witch Moon. Oh, God, yes. Yes, RT. Oh, yes, Cluster. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, that's why things kind of seem quiet, don't they? It's for a reason. Let them, like I said, let them keep talking. Again, action speaks louder than words. We'll see. Okay, here we go. According to reports, I hate when they say that, or sources, or officials. I hate that. According to reports, the United States has equipped all its bases in the Middle East with Patriot defense systems. according to a report. What that report is, take that with a big time grain of salt. That's what I read. This move suggests Washington is prioritizing base defense against ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and UAVs as tensions with Iran and its proxies remain elevated. And this is true. I think Tusi may have touched on this. You may not know what's happening in Iran nowadays. The regime is capturing many politicians and taking them to prisons. The regime closed the universities, stadiums, public places like coffee shops, and the regime are scared of people getting together. They are rounding up former politicians. They are. That's why I said it. What's going on inside, internally, it's chaos. The lack of trust going on within the regime, they're fractured. They're paranoid. Really. Makes them really vulnerable. It really does. And it goes on. Iran tightens grip as reformist figures are arrested. Iran media reports the arrest of senior reformist figures after they criticized the regime and urged Supreme Leader Khamenei to step down. There was talk of that. The developments come as Khamenei skipped an Air Force Day ceremony for the first time, blah, 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 amid closed parliamentary talks on nuclear negotiations in Oman. I don't want to see anything this guy has to say anymore. Again, I can't even show you how sad. There was one video that really disturbed me when I watched it this morning before I came on. I mean, I can't confirm what I'm seeing. A lot of young people died. Slaughtered in Iran. A lot. It is. This one. I'm not gonna put. And again, I cannot confirm this. But this is like an example. 16-year-old. 16. 16 years old. And it's just so bad. There's children. It is so bad. I saw one video this morning of an 18-year-old that was playing guitar. Disgusting. Hold on. Let's put this fucker on. Did you? I don't know if anybody's seen what he had to say. Look what. I believe he is the grandson of the first Ayatollah. Did you guys see this? It's translated. You should watch this. And I'm going to put the sound on. I'm going to lower my mic.
الإسرائيليون يعرفون بدقة ويعرفون أن الشعب الإسلامي إذا يأتي يوم وهو قادر على قصف إسرائيل وعلى ضربة على إسرائيل وعلى إذا كانوا قادرين على إزالة إسرائيل سيفعلون مع إسرائيل ما فعله حماس.
Okay. Look what he's saying. To erase Israel. If they had an opportunity to erase Israel, they would do it. The Islamic nations. Look at what the rhetoric coming out of this. This is why you cannot negotiate with these people. I'm going to keep playing it. Yes, this is Arabic. It's coming, and yeah, he's speaking in Arabic. Yeah. Yeah. Just read it. It's just like, this is why the destruction of Israel. Erase Israel. How do you negotiate with them with their ballistic missile program and their nuclear program when their intent is to erase Israel?
الشعوب الإسلامية.
كل الشعوب الإسلامية. اليوم إذا نرى أن بعض الدول المنطقة لا يعملون بواجبهم، لعلهم يقولون، وحتما يقولون، نحن لسنا بقادرين على ذلك. وإسرائيل يعلم، وأمريكا يعلم، والقادة في الدول الكبرى يعلمون أن الدول الإسلامية إذا جاء يوم وهم قادرون على قصف إسرائيل سيقصفون.
يعني الدول الخليجية والعربية كاملة والإسلامية.
كل الشعوب الإسلامية. نحن لا نخاف أصلا منهم، لأنه نحن صامدون. نحن ندافع عن حق وندافع عن بلدنا، ونقول للأمريكان أنتم تموتون ولا ترون ذلتنا.
If that doesn't rage bait, and if we don't learn from examples like this, we have a problem. We have a problem. This is the mindset. And he, though some people ignore, they say he could be a future Ayatollah, a supreme leader in the country. That person right there. So it's not just about the now, it's moving into the future with this kind of thinking. If all Muslim countries, he says all Muslim countries would bomb Israel, if they had the opportunity to do so, erase Israel, how do you negotiate with these people? You know what their objective is and has been stated for decades. The destruction, to destroy, erase Israel off the map. And we're going to negotiate with them? And missile programs not on the table? Nuclear? You think just nuclear standalone is a threat? Israel doesn't think so. Really, the ballistic program definitely is a concern to the Israelis. Maybe not to us. It should be, because they could develop ICBMs that could potentially in the future reach Alaska, Hawaii, continental. If we keep allowing this and postponing it and stretching this out, it's going to be even worse to deal with in the future. And really, Google. Tell me. I don't have to Google it. Nina, tell me what the grandchildren of the first Khomeini does in Canada. Right? The president should be made aware of this. I would hope Fox News or something that he watches shows him this. You can't negotiate with these people. And like I said, Netanyahu is going to go, that tanker about Iran is spoofing GPS. That's very interesting. Let me get this off the screen. I'm going to look what somebody just put in chat first. Now, which tanker? Oh, that one? That happens all the time. If I think, yeah, this happens quite often. I got fooled a few weeks ago by this, and I'll never make that mistake again. Are you talking about this? Yeah, look. See how it's moving now back? It spoofs all the time. All the time. It always does the spoofing. Uh-oh, wait, what is this? Oh, okay, I thought that was a drone for a second. It's not. For a second, I thought they might be trying to put another drone out there. But there's a lot of that. Where'd the Russian plane go? It turned its transponder off. Where did the Russian plane go? It was coming into the Med. I don't see it now. Could it have landed in Tel Aviv? No. Arrivals. I don't think so. Would it tell us? It was NA'd. Could it went to Lebanon? It's possible that it went to Damascus. Maybe. I don't know. That's Haifa. Let's try. I don't think so. We're gonna have to see if it shows up again. Anyway, getting back. Yeah, that spoofs a lot, yeah. A lot of people just saying no negotiations with Iran. There are no negotiations, guys. Trump is doing it like I tried to talk first as a peaceful president, but the negotiations has failed. I agree with that. It's all part of the ploy. We got to see. Check for the C5. I heard it was in service this week. I saw 2 C5s heading over the Atlantic last night, and there was some going back to the United States. There's been a lot of C5 movement too. I believe the BB meeting is nailing down final issues at we go time. I can also see BB saying if you don't go, I agree. I said that earlier. Netanyahu's going in there, and he's going to tell the president bluntly, this is what I have to do for my country. If you're only talking about nukes, we're going to do something about their ballistic missile program. We're not sitting, we waited, we spoke with you a month ago in the White House talking about their ballistic missile program. We've been patient, we've been waiting. If you're not going to do anything about this, we are. Bottom line. He's got to make that point. He has to make that point clear. If you're not going to act, or if you're going to play this out, I understand you're doing it this maybe for logistical reasons or whatever it is to get your military ready in place. I understand that, but you must understand my point. I'm not going to continue to wait till you're ready to take action, because every day that passes, they increase their capability and posture. Netanyahu has to go in there stern, firm, direct, blunt, and lay it on the table. Whether our president likes it or not, he has to make his case. Because after all, he has to look out for the best interests of his country. Bottom line. Oh, here we go. More stuff from the other side. The U.S. Maritime Administration urges all ships flying the American flag to avoid Iranian territorial waters and not to comply with the orders of Iranian authorities if they attempt to board a vessel, unless necessary for crew safety. We know they tried last week. That just came out. No, he's not. He's not going to back down, and he shouldn't back down. He should not back down. He, like I said, he has to think out for the best interest of his people, the Israeli people, Israel. Now, I'm sure the president would say, "Don't do anything until I tell you to do something." But he's probably, Bibi Netanyahu has probably heard that in the past, like a month ago at the White House. You don't go until I say go. Well, Netanyahu may have a different opinion on that. Out of all due respect, Mr. President, I've spoken to you about this problem over a month ago. The problem is not going away. We have to do something about this. It just can't be the nuclear. If that's what you want to do moving forward, that's fine from a U.S. vantage point. But from my perspective, I need to do something about that ballistic missile program. You know, I live in the region, you know. My people live in the region. I have to protect my people from that threat. I mean, you have to understand that. I would think, right? I feel for you in Iran. I truly do. My heart goes out to all of you in Iran and all the Iranian people. And I've been saying this for weeks, ever since the uprising started. I pray help is coming soon. But remember, the Iranian people at a certain time has to liberate themselves. I know at this time that's not possible against an armed militia and the slaughter that has occurred, the pain and suffering of the Iranian people there. But there will come a point where the people of Iran have to take back their country themselves, with hopefully the support, logistical support from the United States, Israel, and other allies. That's the best way I could put it. I don't want to give off false hope. But to this day, I still believe that help is on the way. I can't tell you when, but I do believe there's going to come a point where help is on the way, as the president stated. Oh, they're putting out something else now. I don't know what this means. There is an ongoing rumor that Telegram channels who have displayed pictures are at risk of being banned due to an unpatched bug. It is most likely not true, and I only saw these claims in Iraqi channels, but we've removed the channel display pictures just in case. Better safe than sorry. I don't know if they're filtering out propaganda, if Telegram is doing anything on there. I don't know what that means, to be honest. I actually have a personal stalker who watches my streams and trolls me. Believe me, I'm waiting for the person to slip so I can go to the police. It's like that. I'm waiting. Biting at the bit. Oh God. That's something totally different. Okay, nothing else new. Getting back to you guys. I hope for freedom for the Iranian people. I pray for that. Tusi's coming on in 35 minutes? Good. Bill, can you ask your connection if Iran, if the IRGC is separate from the Iranian army? It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be two different entities. Obviously, it looks like they're working in tandem together. But the IRGC is definitely a separate entity from the Iranian army. But right now, it looks like the majority of the Iranian army is in tandem with the IRGC. They're hoping that they flip. That's the wishful, hopeful thinking that they will turn on the IRGC, the People's Army, supposedly. And And Mrs. Soriano repeated what I just said, exactly. Let's see. I think, though, that Israeli around the world has not spoken enough about the real danger of Islam. It is hard, I know, but protected cultures like Europe didn't know anything really. Well, Europe has a definite problem, right? Nothing's happening right now. I think a lot of people are waiting to see what happens between the meeting at the White House between President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu right now. Iranian army wants to escape. And I think a lot of people here just want to see people live in freedom, peace, love, to live like normal lives. I think that's a humanitarian commonality, I would think. I would hope. They're waiting. Excuse me. They have loyalty to the regime. Well, I guess we will find out when things happen. Maybe the Iranian army is waiting for the IRGC to get decimated and then make a move in support of the people of Iran. Again, hopeful, wishful thinking, optimism instead of pessimism. Good morning, Sacred. So, Tusi's live in 30 minutes. I do want to play my song I wrote for the people of Israel and Iran that I wrote last night. It is a little rock, got a little rock edge, but I wrote it yesterday, the lyrics. And it's dedicated to the people of Iran and Israel together, like for so many millennia. Unlike what you might think now in the last 47 years, but before then, even after the Islamic conquest, they still had relations. Going back to King Cyrus, through the history, this goes way back. You know, a lot of people look at what's going on now and think that, has it always been like this? No, it hasn't. And I'm not even talking about during the Shah's reign. I'm talking ancient history. Despite what they want you to maybe believe. I mean, it's only because Islam's conquest of Persia forced, not uniting people, forcing people. Their interpretation would be they united. No. It was conquest. What does conquest mean? Just by definition. Obey, be prosecuted, or worse. Either you conform to our ways, or you're prosecuted, or worse. Remember, in their eyes, it's a war against their God, punishable by death. To put this in perspective. So obviously I wrote that with the message of a bright future and peace living side by side together as they have in the past. Despite what people would like to erase history or forget history, you sure know they want to erase history, erase Israel. So, yeah, I wrote that yesterday. For the people of Iran and the people of Israel, together. And hopefully, God willing, there will come a time soon when that actually happens. And hello to Raz. And what's up, Jude? I know I see you. Yeah, I don't know. Tusi's live in like soon. Let's see what he's going to be talking about today. I just put wood in the fire. Got to keep the fire going. And you know, I'll have breakfast when I watch Tusi. Breakfast with Tusi. It really is becoming, or dinner with Tusi. It's becoming like a tradition here in this house. The timing it's just crazy. It's my opportunity to relax. Oh, he's doing, oh, wait a minute. He's going to be talking about UK situation. He'll probably do Iran later. I still want to watch this though. In 23 minutes. Starmer faces resignation. Oh, there's a lot going on in the UK, huh? There's a lot going on in the UK. Civil war erupts in Labour. Starmer faces resignation calls. This is actually a big deal in the UK. Remember, I think a lot of people are just sitting by, waiting, like I am, to see what happens Wednesday. I cannot wait to see. I hope they cover it, which they will. I hope they take questions from the press, and I hope the press doesn't ask stupid questions. But we're going to know if there's a certain tension that you could read between the lines, if they come out to make statements and the questions of the press. Did you discuss the missile program, Iran's missile program, and have you agreed to any type of conclusion? I mean, anything, did you discuss anything other than the nuclear negotiation with the United States and Iran? I don't think anybody's going to blatantly ask the question. If the United States is focused strictly on nuclear, what is Israel's stance concerning Iran's ballistic missile program? And what about the money to the proxies? I don't think anybody's going to ask him, are you prepared to take unilateral action against Iran if the United States does not? I don't think they're going to ask questions like that. I wonder what kind of questions they're going to ask. Breakfast at Tusi's. Actually, I want to go to the pub or tavern or whatever he's going to have in Tehran at some point. That would be interesting. So, Tusi starts like in 21 minutes. That gives me time to scramble. Literally, maybe eggs. Have some breakfast. And make another batch of coffee while I sit down and watch Tusi show. And I'm sure he'll be doing another stream later regarding Iran. But this is a big deal that's going on in the UK internally. It really is. This is something, yes, the UK situation will affect US politics. A new prime minister, she will open all the... Yes. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. My assessment on the meeting is that Bibi will call, we will strike, better be a part of it. How will you control it then, the proxies and missiles? It's a great question. I hope Sepp is doing well. I know he was dealing with some personal issues. I will let him address that personally on his own, out of respect to Sepp. So I would suggest you to tune into his channel. What's up, Navi? Navi, I'm about to bail out. You're a little late. I'm gonna go watch Tusi and have breakfast now, and I'll be back if there's any information. If any information important comes out, which I don't foresee anything, really. At least till Wednesday. I think that is a crucial meeting. Especially it was pushed up a week. There's an urgency here. Especially on Bibi Netanyahu's part. Because he's definitely concerned. He had to have spoken, of course, about this with Kushner and Witkoff. He's concerned. To push up the meeting sooner to meet directly with the president tells me he's definitely concerned. He may not have liked what he heard from Witkoff and Jared Kushner. He may not have, and now he wants to talk to the president directly. And he's not going to wait. So, Wednesday's a big day. Boo, when you find time to chat about your fleet of ships on the shelf behind you, please. I haven't seen Sean. I hope he's alright. Yeah, those are all my Star Trek models I built. Those are all the models I built last winter when I was bored. The majority are Star Trek. And the Star Destroyer and the Millennium. A lot of it is though Star Trek related. Other than that one over there, that's from G-Force, Battle of the Planets. It was my favorite cartoon as a little kid. And that's mostly Star Trek up there too, so. They're beautiful. I put all the lights. Those models, I'm afraid to move the camera, but. Alexa, shut living room light.
Okay.
The camera doesn't do it justice on the detail and how the Star Destroyer lights up on the sides. I did all that. It is absolutely beautiful in person, how it's all lit up. It's gorgeous. So I did that last year, and only 2 of those models were meant for lights. I made them into light models with all kinds of tools. It was not easy. And by the way, you can see all the crazy equipment. I have multiple stuff here. And just for those who've never seen the insanity in front of me. This is the insanity. And there's your chat right there. So this is what it looks like in front for me with all the equipment. Me sitting here. It's crazy. It's a definite command center, to say the least. So, I have a Mavic Pro 2 drone locked away in one of my crates. I've got lots of little toys. I call them toys. It's like a space alien ship. There's more over there. I have a carrier that lights up. I think that's the Enterprise carrier. Alexa, turn on living room light.
Okay.
Alexa, brighten living room light. I don't think I'll be able to show you because of the camera angle here. I could try. See the carrier over there? It's not. I don't have it plugged in to light up. Alexa, brighten living room light.
Got it.
There's a carrier there. And over here is a battleship I built like with Lego. It's like a Lego style. That was a hard model to build right there. The one on that shelf. It's 3 feet long. That was a hard model to build. Right over there. And then over here is all my guitars. Over there. And then if we turn around, there's my baseball collection, part of it. Yankee stuff. There's more Yankee stuff over there. And you hear the fire. Well, that would be this right here. That's what keeps Bill warm. The wood stove is right next to me. I've got a lot of stuff, a lot of equipment. The drum set back there. It's a definite man cave, for sure. By definition. Definite. This would be like a gamer's dream come true, this setup. They would freak out if they ever sat where I'm at right now. This is like a gamer's dream. But we have more important things, even though I do game. Anyway, it's Tusi time. 13 minutes and 45 seconds. Yes, I'm going to try to get Commander to come on again, but he's so busy with work. He has agreed to. I did message him. When he's able to, he'll come on. There's a lot. God, I have 4 monitors and I'm thinking of getting a 5th. Let's see what else. Who knows what happens next weekend? I think after the Netanyahu meeting, you're going to know a lot more, or maybe not know enough. Silence, it speaks 1,000 words too, remember. That's going to be, I'm telling you, Wednesday is going to be quite interesting. I think Netanyahu's leaving tomorrow to arrive in D.C. for the meeting on Wednesday. It's going to be maybe telling or not telling, but that is telling. If you know what I mean. It is Wednesday, the meeting. Yes. It is Wednesday. No, Petro said Friday. No, the meeting is Wednesday. No, Tusi's not talking about Iran. He's talking about the political situation in the UK. But I do want to watch that too. That's what Tusi's going to be discussing in practically a few minutes. So 12 minutes. I'm going to jump off and I want to watch what he's talking about, what's going on in the UK, because a lot of this has ramifications about our policy here in regards to the US and relations and everything else. So, like I said, oh, you like it, Drew, the classic Star Trek stuff? And he might touch on Iran initially. He might. You're right, Drew. He might. I've been trying to find, before I leave, because I got to go watch Tusi and eat, I've been trying to find other models of interest to build. I'm running out of room, literally in the room. There's not many more places I could put stuff. But I've been looking at a Starship model by SpaceX that's 3 feet high. It looks beautiful. Also, like Space 1999, I forgot what the craft was called, building one of those. But I would like to get like the 3 foot, 4 foot one. That would have to take up a whole shelf by itself. I've been looking at other models. I'm missing one Enterprise from the TV show Enterprise. It's the one I'm missing. Every other one is pretty much up there. Discovery was up there, but I took it down. It was a little model. It looked like crap. Anyway, all of you, the Eagle. Thank you, Cluster. It's the Eagle. Space 99, the Eagle. That's the one. That's a badass model. I would put lights on it though. I'll find a way. Kind of webcam. This is the Elgato. I don't know what model it is. It's the Elgato webcam. Enterprise C? Is that what it is? I can't find it. They want a lot of money, like $200 on eBay for it. I'm not spending $200. I spend a lot of money on these models. A lot. A lot of money on the lighting and the wiring, and there's so many. I have a huge box full of stuff. Paint, all that. Glues, all kinds of, even copper tape. You have no idea what it's like to, I could show you guys pictures, but now's not the time because I'm going to watch Tusi. He's literally going live in 9 minutes and 30 seconds. I have pictures. I'll show you one, maybe, quick. The work involved. When a model is not made for lights, you have to get drill bits, all kinds of tools. I mean, it is crazy the amount of work, but it was so much fun. It's tedious, but it's a lot of fun if you like that kind of stuff. I'll just try to find a picture quick before I leave. Like the Star Destroyer, you can't see it on the camera. Even, what did I forget? Battlestar Galactica up there. That is beautiful. But the camera does not give it justice. It really doesn't. I'm going to show you a quick picture, then I got to go because I want to watch Tusi. Look. Look at it up close. That's the Battlestar Galactica. What is the MK... Oh my god, I can't remember. That wasn't built for lights. I put lights in that. Like the beautiful picture of the destroyer, if I have it right here. Look how beautiful the Star Destroyer looks from another angle that you cannot see. Look how fucking beautiful this came out. Look at that. I had to drill all those holes. Everything you see there, I had to do. Forget about putting the lights in it. That is not a light model. The Viper MK2. Thank you, Cluster. I had to do all that. Do you realize what it was to put that model together with lights? Oh my god. Insane. You can't see the angle. That's the problem. Here's a quick example of what it's like to put the guts together on a model that is not designed for lights. So I have to, and remember, it's not built for lights. This has already been put, you see the wires sticking out? I drilled these holes, I did all this. This has the lights in there already. This is the body, putting the lights in. Look at all this wiring. And to put all this shit to fit it together, good luck. Good luck. I mean, look at all the wires coming from out of every possible place. This is not made for, these are not made for lights at all. It's crazy. I mean, even like a picture like this, then I'm gonna get off. You can see how crazy it is. There's my rolling machine for cigarettes. Not nice. That came out gorgeous. Hold on, one more. This came out beautiful. This is the Strange New Worlds Enterprise. Again, the camera does not do justice. It's all the way on the top up there. Look how beautiful that came out. Stunning. Stunning. It's absolutely stunning when you see it in person. And like I said, there's a lot going on up there that you just can't see. The camera just doesn't, it doesn't do it justice. Anyway, that came out beautiful. So there you go. Anyway, everybody, I'm going to get off now because I want to go watch Tusi. You see how it came out, Jude? Really nice. Detail. It is a bunch of work. Cluster. Oh my god. I didn't hear anything about it, so BB's meeting Wednesday will have more information about how it's going. Yes, I think everybody's just sitting back and seeing what the results of that meeting are, if any, because we may not know. They may be quiet on it. They may not even take questions from the press. They might just walk off the stage, say a couple of things, and if they even do that, I'd be surprised if the president doesn't do that with Netanyahu there. I'm expecting something, but I'm not expecting too much either. They're not going to reveal. Everybody, the whole world is probably watching what they're going to say, including Iran. You don't want to tip your hand. One thing about the president, he keeps everything close. And he keeps it in a very close circle because of leaks. And that is legit. People may not like that. That's legit. You got to worry about leaks. He's absolutely right. In my opinion. Yeah, they might talk. It's definitely the main focus. He's definitely going to bring up the Gaza peace plan. If I'm thinking of what the president is going to say, he's going to bring up the Gaza peace plan. That is something you will hear from him with Netanyahu. I'll put money on that. He'll talk about disarming Hamas. He'll get into all that. How much they talk about Iran, that's a different story. Anyway, love to all of you. Be well, be blessed, be safe. Tusi's going on live. I'm going to eat breakfast and watch Tusi. I'll be back later at some point. So, love to all of you. Prayers to everyone. Be well, be blessed, be safe. Have a great day, great afternoon, night, whatever it is. And see everybody later. It's Tusi time. Breakfast with Tusi time.